Okay, g'day Dan, how you going?
Hey, good. Thanks, Pato. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Good to be
No
here.
worries. Yeah, thanks for coming on.
Hmm. I
Um,
feel lucky to get the call up. I feel like a very lucky guy to make the team. So,
yeah. Yeah. Congratulations making the team. When did you actually find out?
it would have been. I think it was 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah.
I got the message from Phil. So, I was so stoked to get a spot on the team. I was going nuts at home, just like yes. I've done it, like I was watching the standings and watching the list on the team, and I knew that I'd then finished as second reserve. So I guess I just counted it out and assumed that I wasn't going. And then had Ben and Phil both message me and say, you might still be on. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I had a 5K race in between that, in between finding out and then starting to train. So did
Yeah.
that and then found out I was on the team. So, yeah.
Yeah, unreal. Um, so how long, like when did you start running?
Oh, I haven't been running for that long. It was the start of 2019. I
Yeah.
started running. Yeah, just as a way to build a bit of fitness. I was trying out for the firefighters in the middle of the year, so I thought, well, heck, I need to pass the beep test.
Yeah.
So I just started running a mile a day. Didn't get in, and then just kept running. Yeah, that's sort of how it started.
Yeah. And like, did it take long for you to realize like that you were like pretty good at running?
I guess I was always a pretty fit kid at school.
Yeah.
It's funny because like at school, the 800 meters is like this big endurance event where you have to run twice around the oval. And, I can't imagine doing something so short now.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a generally pretty fit kid, I guess. And I don't know, I just jumped straight into ultras. I
Yeah.
kind of skipped, like I did like 5Ks, like park run and stuff, but just sort of skipped and went straight to my first ultra. What would that have been? 2020. Just jumped
Yeah.
in, did like a 50-mile race and really enjoyed that. Loved the mental sort of challenge of it all, and yeah, the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. You came, you came third in that as well, didn't you?
Yes, yeah. I so it was actually a 75K race, and I took two wrong turns, and it ended up being 83. So got a
Right.
few extra Ks there.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I remember actually at the start of that, the organizer said, "Now it's not very well signed for the first 50K." And I thought, wait, couldn't you do something about that? But anyway, yeah. So that was in 2020.
yeah. And I noticed, like in your second one was like at Coburg 24, and you made it to 200 kilometers. So I mean, that's pretty good for someone who just jumped straight into ultras in their second one.
Yeah, that was. I'll never forget that race. That was where I met Ben Nichols. That was definitely the hardest race I've ever done. I
Yeah.
actually did a fundraiser. Oh, so that was 2021. I did a fundraiser in October 2020. That was 2 months after my first ultra. I did 160K. That was just me running up and down on a bike path,
Right.
just as a bit of a fundraiser. So I jumped into Coburg, and I thought, okay, I reckon I can get 200. Were you at that one, or was that the 6 hour I saw you?
Yeah, I was at the next year, I think it was, or yeah,
Okay.
2022. I was running around in the 24, and I saw you during
Oh,
the 6 hour. Yeah,
yes. But anyway, in the 24, I got to 160K, and I was in pretty bad shape. And that last 40K took me about 7 hours, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh man,
And
brutal.
so how did you learn about like race nutrition and all that kind of stuff?
Honestly, I was just listening to podcasts and kind of just figuring it out myself. So the last few backyards I've worked with Gabby, which has been really helpful.
Yeah,
Just really personalizing it, and you can listen to general advice, but getting the sweat test and really working out your sodium and that kind of thing's been really helpful. Yeah.
yeah. Um, and I saw that it was in 2021 as well. You did Butter 24, the 6 hour race there.
Oh yeah.
You had a pretty good result of that one.
That was really good. Yeah. So The goal was 80, which was 4:30 a kilometre, and I ran 82.3. So I was super happy with that. And then tried to up it then at Coburg when I saw you that year in the 6 hour. But I think it was pretty hot that day from memory. And
it was pretty sunny. Like when that race started, the sun had just come out and it was out the whole 6 hours we were running.
Yeah, and there's no shade on the track. So you just, pretty brutal.
Yeah.
But, anyway, that's definitely, I don't have too many races where I feel quite disappointed, but that was one of them.
Really? Yeah.
The 6 hour.
Yeah.
It was funny because that year I felt like I ended up winning that race, the 6 hour. I felt like I hadn't given it my best. And then the year I did the 24 hour, I felt like I'd given it like 100%, and then came fourth and missed out on a medal. But anyway, that's all right.
Yeah.
Ben Nichols got me right near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one that you did, the Butter 24, that actually that's like the 8th best result over that distance in Australia. Yeah,
I wasn't sure if it was or if Dion had done a little bit better. Finaki, not sure how to say his last name. Yeah. I think it was either him or myself, or it was very close. So
right,
yeah, it was definitely a really good race for me. Yeah, and it was fairly warm that day as well up in Brisbane.
Yeah, it would have been too.
Yeah.
And then your first backyard ultra was in 2021 at Hysterical Carnage, yeah?
That's right. Yeah, good times. So myself and some of the boys that I was going to do the Hyson with,
right,
the following year, we decided to jump in a backyard. Thought it looked pretty fun, and we got to. I think I got to 31 with a friend, with Rue. Yeah, both did 31. Met Sean.
That's a
who's this guy?
I mean, that's that's really good. Like 31 back then. That wasn't 30s. The people weren't making the 30s as often as they are now.
That's true. I guess I thought if I could do 24 200 Ks in 24 hours, I could probably do 200 in 30. That was sort of my reasoning. I hit the 31 laps and was like, oh yeah, that's a bit over 200. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to do one of these again.
Is that what you know?
Yeah.
Did you so after the race, is that what you were thinking? You're not going to do another one?
Well, I think it was until I got a hug from Sean.
Right.
And he's like, this is your sort of thing. And I was like, yeah, it is, hey. It's like, oh, you feel sort of, I don't know, feel like then going in another one pretty soon after.
Yeah. So it does, but you didn't actually do another one till Herdys in 23 though, right?
Yes. So in 2022, we then did the Hyson, and that was kind of my big event for the year, my big, multi-day sort of thing. And then I jumped in another one, Herdys then. Yeah, I wanted to really take it seriously, see how far I could go. My goal for Herdys was then 48, so the 2 days, and I kind of got that and thought, well, close to 50. And then I thought, well, you don't want to stop at 50, so 51.
Yeah. Did you know about qualifying for the Australian team and how to qualify for it back then?
I sort of knew a little bit about it, but I wasn't too sure about how it all worked or what I kind of needed to get in.
Right.
So if I'd done even one lap less, I wouldn't be on the team right now, kind of thing. So
yeah,
because I'd be on 50, which would have So
so when you were running at Herdys, was that qualifying on your mind or not really?
I think it was more just to push how far I could go.
Yeah.
And try to push, the longest that I'd run in a single sort of race. Yeah. Obviously the Hyson was very long, but it's kind of more of a multi-day, have a decent sleep thing. But yeah, I really wanted to push the backyard, see how far I could go. And I guess that was like a secondary goal to try and make the team. But again, I wasn't really sure exactly how that looked or what I really needed to even do that. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a pretty, I remember following the race on Facebook, and it was a pretty epic race. The final four were you, Tim Kaprizak, Michael Bellman, and Phil Gore, and all four of you are on the team.
Yeah.
So what are some of the memories you've got of that race?
I remember about lap 7, just wanting to quit.
Really?
very, very early on.
Yeah.
I just felt tired. It was about 11 p.m. and I was like, oh man, maybe what I'll do, I'll just stop in at one of the portaloos and just pretend I fell asleep or something.
Yeah.
And then that's when I realized the power of caffeine.
Right.
I
Yeah.
had a no dose, and then lap 8, I came in and I was like, oh, no, actually, you know what? I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
So I remember then getting to about lap 30, I think it would have been, being on around about par with my hysterical PB and just feeling great all of a sudden and coming in, 40 minutes, 42 minutes and thinking, wow, if I'm feeling good now, I wonder how far I can push it.
Mm.
The second day, I reckon, was even hotter than the first.
Right.
And it was just pretty brutal. I was pretty dehydrated as well. So I was kind of running kind of hunchback, like
Right.
leaning over and stuff like that. Got to, it would have been about 45 laps and was just felt really done. And so I kind of just thought, okay, just got to do one lap at a time, one lap at a time. And then I got to third, and then I was like, man, the best I'm going to get here is second, because Phil's left.
Yeah.
The best I'm going to get is second, and I'm already getting a trophy. So that's then when I kind of ended up quitting. But yeah, I didn't want to quit in the chair, so ended up timing out. Yeah.
So you legitimately found your physical limit in that one, do you feel?
It's funny because I feel like there's always more to give. And for me, it comes down to a big problem I have is just sort of not wanting to be out there any longer.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So it was definitely a hard push, but I just think, well, if the stars align, and particularly in this Australian team, I do wonder just how far you could go if everything just works out really well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a massive run because, I mean, you broke your own PB by like 20 odd hours. You broke the SA record. And so, I mean, you must have been pretty happy.
Definitely so happy. To hit the 300K mark was a special feeling as well. And
yeah,
my watch ended up dying actually about that time.
I did it.
It's like, yeah. Then try to record off my phone, and it's a bit of a mess. But yeah, anyway, it felt good to outrun my watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to do that one day.
Yeah. What watch have you got?
I've got a Coros.
Have you got the Vertix?
I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's the Pace 2.
Oh, nice. I've got that on right now as well. I was going to say it'd be hard to outrun the Vertix 2. That's got like 90 hours. Yeah.
Well, when I upgrade, I'll probably get something like that. But I remember the watch I had before this was a Samsung, and it was the worst. Like the battery.
Oh, really?
The battery would last sometimes it would die during a 2-hour run.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, so I thought, I'll look up what's the best one for battery life, and Coros came up, so I decided to go with that. So you've got a Coros 2 then, obviously.
Yeah, I've got the Pace 2, and then I've also got the Vertix 2 now, which is really good. So, yeah.
You'll be wearing the Vertix 2 at the Sat Champs?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
If I need to charge that watch, I'm doing really well.
Yeah. So do you remember what you were thinking at the time? You'd done 51. Were you thinking about whether that would be enough to qualify for the Australian team? Was that on your mind at all?
You know what? Not to sound cocky at all, but I just assumed that would have been enough.
Yeah.
I had people saying, "Oh, I'll see you in October," sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, sweet. Sounds good. But it just goes to show how good the Australian team, the lineup is. And you look at the list now, and I'm right at the bottom of the at-large, so lucky to get in. But yeah, I did assume that I was going to be in.
Yeah. So I remember having a chat with you at Dead Cow Gully when you were there crewing for Johan, and you did tell me that making the Australian team was the goal. And like you said, like when Australia is such a strong team, like 51 would qualify you like for pretty much every other country, like right up. You'd be right up near the top of all their at-large lists. So But obviously with so much time, like I mean, a lot of runners a few runners came from nowhere and surprised a few people.
Yeah. I mean, I thought I was definitely in up until no time, obviously, when Joel then got in.
Yeah,
And then even, it goes to show that the last weekend or two with Barry and Jonathan running 57,
mm,
and you realize, man, your position is not secure at all, even to the very last minute. And I looked and I thought, Ben had been in the whole time and he'd
yeah,
been a couple from the bottom. Suddenly Ben's out and it's like,
yeah.
oh, dude, you're just never sure.
Yeah. So with Mirrim Wurnit that you ran earlier this year, was that was did you choose to that run that race to secure the silver ticket?
Definitely. I
Yeah.
thought it's a tough course, probably not going to have as many people in it. And also when it ended up being really hot, I thought, well, a lot of Victorians are probably used to a bit cooler weather. So
Yeah.
I'm like slightly more heat acclimated than everyone was
Yeah.
my sort of
Yeah.
theory. Yeah,
Yeah. It
cool
was
event to be.
it was bloody hot though, wasn't it?
Oh, it was so brutal. It was 35 during the day, and I think it got to like 27 at night. That's all it dropped down to. So, and it was cool to be there with the Search for Hurt TV series as well. I've been following along on 7 Plus at the moment. So the
Mm.
next episode they're bringing out on Saturday is going to be the Mirrim Wurnit episode.
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking forward to watching that. That's going to be good.
Mm. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Because I know you knew that the course was going to be tough. But yeah, like you said, the weather conditions were off the Richter. So I mean, you did say that I think it was the 24-hour race when you did 200 kilometers was the toughest race you've done.
Yeah,
But was Mirren Wurnit pretty close to that?
yeah. I think I'd have to put that second for sure. Just
Yeah,
the mix of like so hot, and it was hot the whole day and night. Especially in that back paddock, there was just no breeze, and you're going up in the long grass, and just the conditions combined with the heat, and oh man, it was just brutal. I'd definitely put that second,
yeah,
second, but I know what's first.
yeah. Um, so you did. I mean, you finished as the assist with 34 yards. So I mean, you must have a pretty good hot weather strategy. Like, what are some of the strategies you use to get through the heat?
I think just loading up a bit on sodium, I think is quite helpful the night before. Like I'll have a big sodium thing, and then the morning off,
Mm,
I find as well just to really stock up on that. I usually wear a long top during the day, which kind of looks a bit funny, but I usually put like some ice things around my wrist, and it kind of just soaks in and it sort of stays there
right.
because I've got the material all the way down the arm.
Yeah.
Um, and then I think it just trying not to push the pace too much. I was coming in 50, 51 minutes, which was a fair bit slower than a lot of other people.
Mm,
And just trying to keep, because, you generate a lot of heat from your body. So just trying not to overdo the running and just focusing on walking, I think is really important.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what got you in the end at Mirren Wurnit?
It was a mix of my feet were just really sore, plus also kind of feeding off Tim's energy and seeing how solid he looked
Yeah.
and not feeling like I had a chance.
Mm,
I think that was it. If I saw that he was struggling as well, then it kind of would have, made me think, okay, we'll just push in for a few laps and you might win this. But
yeah.
when he was looking so solid, it was like, man, I'm just going to be hurting for more hours. And I wasn't close to that 51
Yeah.
from Herdys. If I was close to my Herdys PB, then there's a bit of, if I was at 45 laps, and it's like, okay, push a bit more and you can up your PB. But being at 34, I'm still a long way off. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a mix of all those things. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, Tim was a man on a mission in that race, and
Was he ever?
yeah, I mean, he went absolutely scorched earth in that race. And I was actually going to ask you, like, is that one of the reasons that got you? Like, if he was showing some signs of weakness, like, would have that kept you going?
Totally. I
Yeah.
often sit at the back, and I kind of watch people,
Yeah.
if I'm honest. And I kind of see, like, I can often tell when someone's getting a bit weak. So there's a few things I sort of look for, and I can kind of tell. And usually, if I see a few of these signs, usually they're out in a few laps.
Yeah.
So I kind of like sit back and wait and watch. And I just was never getting anything from Tim. So I was like, oh, darn it.
Yeah. So given the conditions, how tough the course was and how hot it was, I mean, you did mention you weren't close to that 51, but do you rank the performance equal to that or maybe even better?
Than the 51 at Herdys.
Yeah.
I felt like I pushed to a closer to 100% in Herdys than I did at Mirrim Wurnit in a sense. So I'd still rank the Herdys one better, I'd say.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I'd still say that Mirrim Wurnit was tougher, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot. Yeah, because you were there as well. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. I was one of the first people to drop out. Like I timed out on the 4th loop.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I don't blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember walking back on that first paddock and all the runners like were out on their 5th loop, and it was I was pretty embarrassed. But then after that, like everyone else started dropping as well, and I realised, oh gee, I'm not the only one. This really was pretty hard.
Yeah, you got that confirmation, didn't you, from everyone else? And I think half the field was out probably by about lap 8 or 9. So
yeah,
not that it was a very big field, but yeah,
it was hardcore. So No Time to Die was about 2 months later than that. What was the plan going into No Time to Die?
Well, yeah, the plan was just to try to up my PB, which obviously didn't go to plan. And also just try to get in a bit of practice for the SAP champs if I was then, because at the time I was still on the team. That's kind of those two things at once. Get a better PB to secure my spot a bit more, and also just practice nutrition and the whole backyard sort of thing. So yeah.
The at that stage of time, were you still not worried about your position on the team, or were you starting to think, oh, it might be a good idea to try and improve on that 51 just to solidify my spot?
It was getting more and more like that.
Yeah.
Because I think since Herdys, I had dropped a position or two. So it was definitely to try and up my PB. And I thought, well, the weather's going to be a lot cooler. It's in Adelaide. I don't have to travel. The day before Mirrim Wurnit, you're kind of driving. Maybe it was the day before, but you're kind of traveling a fair bit, stuck in the car. So, and I knew Johan was going to be there. I knew Joel wanted to get in. So for me, it was a really good situation to try to really secure my spot, which obviously didn't work out. But yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I was there. I did 32 loops in that one, and I went to sleep, and I woke up, and you were gone. So, you did 40 in that one. What happened at the end in that one?
I think it was just a mix of everything I'd done in the lead up. I'd raced a half marathon about a month before, and then I did Wings for Life about 2 weeks before the race.
Yeah.
So that was about 50K at about 4-minute pace. And then it was just like work, and I'd worked all the way in the week leading up to the race, and I do landscaping. So I think my body was just a little bit wrecked from everything. So anyway, can't make excuses. Wasn't good enough on the day. So
fair enough. Yeah. So I mean, at this point in time, Joel Sexton, he went absolutely berserk and ran 50 yards. Johan left nothing but destruction in his wake and did 59 hours. So, I mean, after that race had finished, you were down a little bit more. So after the race, what was your confidence level like?
Well, I was actually out after the race.
Were you? Like out of the at-large list?
I was suddenly the first reserve then.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So there was after that, I'd been moved off the team. So from there, I thought, well, I've tried twice this year
Yeah.
to sort of secure my spot. Obviously, if I had won Mirrim Wurnit, I probably wouldn't have done no time.
Yeah.
I would say probably. But yeah, I realised that hey, I'm not in the team, and I'm just going to leave it in fate's hand.
Right. Yeah.
So that was my plan from then on. Yeah.
Yeah. So there was no considering other races, like you weren't considering going interstate and running it. Anything else?
I had thought about it, but yeah, I kind of need to work.
Yeah.
I can't keep taking time off.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'd given myself 2 chances to really sort of up my performance, and so kind of left it there. But here we are, so pretty lucky.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've done a bit of racing leading up, like between Mirrim Wurnit and No Time to Die. So how did you pull up after No Time to Die? Were you ready for a bit of a break?
After No Time?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Actually, no, sorry. I started 5K training.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had about a week off, week or two, and then started training for this 5K, which I did a few weeks ago. So, yeah, I gave myself a bit of a rest period. Yeah, still. I definitely needed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know that you and Johan, like you're both South Australian, you are friends. So did you know that he was a little bit doubtful about whether he'd be able to make the time to run at the Sat Champs?
Oh, definitely. Like whether he'd get kicked out as well.
Well, like, I mean, whether like, because I know that he's just got a new job in Queensland. So,
oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he wasn't, because of that, I think he was doubtful about making the team, about being able to be available to run at the Sat Champs.
We never chatted about that, but before No Time, we definitely chatted about the fact that both of our positions weren't secure.
Yeah.
So the goal was still whether he was available. The goal was still just to push the laps, because I was on 51, he was on 52. Yeah. We knew that like at Reds with Jonathan and Barry, look at what can happen the very last weekend. So we sort of chatted about it and thought we really got to give this another red hot crack and push what we've done. So that was the plan. The plan was to sort of come together after about lap 30, and then sort of work together. But yeah, I fell pretty short. But he had such an amazing performance, and Joel, to run that 58, he started looking just so strong. And I think it was probably about lap 30, he started, I could be wrong, but he started coming in and getting sleep during the night. And it was so great to see him just pull off something that he really deserved, So, yeah.
Yeah, that was I can't wait to see how he goes at the Sat Champs. It's such a strong team.
Yeah.
How does it feel to know that it's only like less than 2 months away?
Mostly scary.
Yeah.
But, I feel like I've got just enough time to really prepare. I've got, from when I found out, I have about 9 weeks, I think it was. So
right,
a good 7 weeks of training, taper down for a couple. If I'd found out a bit later, I think I'd be a bit more worried. But I feel like it's just the right amount of time to really prepare for the event. Yeah.
What are your training weeks going to look like between now and race day?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's, I get pretty tired sometimes after work. So I think it's more just training to time as opposed to distance, and just practicing walking a fair bit, because I'm a bit more of a faster sort of runner, and I like sort of running fast, but really just slowing down and practicing hiking and that kind of thing, and just trying to push the volume, I think, in the day-to-day, as opposed to just kind of having a really long run and then needing a lot of time to recover and that kind of thing. So sort of doing a lot of doubles and just trying to push the weekly time, I'd say, versus distance.
Okay. About approximately how much distance do you reckon you'll be doing a week?
At least 100. and probably up to maybe 160. I don't know. I feel like I've just pushed it a bit too much in the past,
Mm.
and I've just done too many junk miles, and I've kind of just been a bit too sore. Potentially, I'm not too sure. Like I work a physical job during the week, so I'm just trying to balance what's too much, but also getting enough stress, but not too much stress. So it's kind of like it feels like a fairly fine line.
Mm.
I kind of want to rock up to the race strong with no niggles, being a little bit underdone. That's kind of my goal. Yeah.
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 I mean, the Australian team, like we said, it's so strong. I mean, it's definitely one of the favourites to finish first. I mean, and they finished third 2 years ago. So are you going in there with like the goal of just going till you find your limit, or do you have a number in mind, like of what you would like to hit?
I think that's the tough thing about backyards is you kind of set the finish line, but I'm not even sure if you're meant to set a finish line. I find it really hard to know kind of how to set goals for this, and if you really should, because it's a nice idea to say, okay, I'm just going to do one more lap, but then you're kind of looking for an end point.
Yeah.
So whether you set a goal, and I'm still trying to figure this out, whether you set a goal at I'm going to try and get 70, and it's sort of reasonable, but it's also fairly far off. And then when you're hurting at 30, do you think, well, why did I say 70?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So I'm trying to like work through all this stuff. It's a good question. I'm not too sure. I definitely know I'm capable of getting into the 60s. I'd love to be able to prove that, and I think anything above that is just great. And I'm just really stoked to be part of such a great team. And I know it's going to be a really good environment to be able to push those higher laps. You know, I think one thing about backyards is, say you start with 200 people, at lap 50 there might only be 3 people, and so you feel like you're near the end. There's a sense where you're at the pointy end. Whereas here, you start with 15 people, and at lap 50, you might still have 13 people in.
Yeah.
So in that sense, you don't feel like you're near the end. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how much that'll change kind of your mentality.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, sorry, that was a bit of a long answer. But
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to. I think in terms of a minimum goal, I'd love to hit 60.
Yeah.
2.5 days, hit that 400k, and kind of see what we've got from there. So yeah.
And how do you feel about the late start? I think it's in WA, so we're starting at 9 a.m. Are you going to like sleep in really late that morning, or how are you going to approach the late start?
Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not too sure. I get up quite early for work, sort of 5:30, so I think I'll probably be up at 7 anyway. Probably my body clock will just wake me up.
Yeah.
So I'm not too sure. What time does it start? 8 p.m.
I think it starts at 9 because
9.
In Victoria it was 11 p.m. and WA's 2 hours.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I definitely prefer a different start time. 9 a.m. sounds great. Yeah, it sucks because you feel like you've already been up for a day, and then you got to start an event that will hopefully go for a few days. I think I'll just have a really relaxed day, try to nap if I can, just do as little as possible, really will be the goal. Yeah, it's a weird start time.
Have you organised when you're going to actually get to Perth and things like that?
Not yet. So mum and dad are still potentially going to drive over. I said to them that, you know, Sean and that will provide everything we need, like gazebos, all the big stuff and that kind of thing. But probably what day does it start? Saturday. We'll probably get over on the Thursday or something. Just have a day to chill before on the Friday, and then go time on Saturday. So yeah. Probably Thursday. Yeah, I'd say I'll just fly over.
Yeah, and you're still working with Gabby with your nutrition as well?
Yeah, I sent her a message probably a week ago saying, "Hey, can I work with you for 2 months leading into the SAT Champs?" So she's all good with that. So got a Zoom meeting tomorrow with her, so that'll be good.
Yeah,
that's something I really need help with. So yeah,
unreal. She must work with almost half the team, I reckon.
I'd say so. Surely. Yeah. She'd be a busy person. Gee.
Yeah.
So knowledgeable though. Like I can't recommend her enough.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah. She's unreal.
just having that. Like it's funny because at Herdys, physically I felt pretty good, but my nutrition wasn't on point, and so mentally I was just sort of all over the place. Like no nutrition plan. But then come no time, it's like physically I felt pretty wrecked just from work and the races I'd done before. But I had my nutrition plan from Gabby, and I just felt really clear headed and just had a lot of mental sort of clarity there. So
Mm,
yeah, I'm looking forward to sort of putting both of those parts together. Come Sap chance.
yeah. Um, so when you're running these backyard ultras and you're starting to go deep and things are getting hard, what are some techniques that you use to keep yourself going when you are hurting and things are feeling hard?
Yeah, I think one thing that I think about is the races I've done before.
Mm,
And so the more races you do, the more of a catalogue you can sort of look back at and go, well, I got through this, I got through that. So that's helpful. I think you get to know yourself a bit more. You get to have a bit more belief in the fact that you can just hurt. I think that's a real big thing.
mm,
Something that I like to do is just have a minute just to be grateful for something.
yeah.
So for myself, a few years ago, I was kind of in a pretty dark place and really struggling with a few things. So yeah, I often will take a minute just to be grateful for where I am now and the fact that I'm not where I was, and I have the freedom to run. You know, not everyone can do that. So,
Mm,
and you know, in this race coming up, I'm going to be so grateful that I get to represent my country.
yeah.
So I think it kind of just changes the narrative a little bit. You know,
Yeah.
you can start to feel a bit sorry for yourself when things get hard. But just to inject some positivity, just to kind of change how you see the situation can be really powerful. Yeah, that's sort of two techniques that I like to use a lot. Yeah.
Mm. Is this going to be the first time you've ever represented Australia in anything?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I it's funny as I've had a few people in the past say, "Oh, are you gonna go to the Olympics?" And
Right.
I thought, yeah, I could hand out water there.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just not gonna be fit enough for that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this will be the first time representing Australia in anything, and yeah, a sporting event is such a great thing to be a part of. So
Yeah. Now, so the Sat Champs will be your fifth backyard ultra, and I mean, as you know, there's heaps of different things or aspects of backyard ultras to get right in order to keep going and improving. So, like, I mean, I've spoken to like a few runners, and like some runners have identified certain aspects to focus on, like to improve. Like Johan knew he had to work on his feet, like Margie, her nutrition, Ryan Crawford, his sleep, things like that. So, is there a specific area of backyard ultras you've identified as an area that to work on that you can improve in?
yeah, look, that's a really great question, Pato, because yeah, you're right. Not everyone's the same. Everyone has their own sort of strengths and their own sort of things to work on specifically. I think for me, it's just that end goal kind of thing, how to set my end point and how to push through when I kind of have just had enough.
Mm,
That's a real weakness for me. And I think just probably just focusing on my own race a bit more, as opposed to kind of caring what other people are doing a bit too much. Would probably be the main two things for me to work on. Yeah.
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 And have you worked or have you ever slept in backyard ultras, or is it have you is that sleeping in backyard ultras, is that something that you've done in the past?
Not like a proper sleep, but like closing your eyes and sort of drifting off, I guess. It was hard at Mirrim Wurnit because they just had that car horn.
Yeah.
And so I'd sort of sit there all tense,
Yeah. Yeah.
just waiting for it to go off. Whereas
Yeah.
like at Herdys, it was just that, you know, boots are made for walking song, which is a bit more chill. I don't know if they're going to have a song at Sat Champs or whatever, but yeah, I think I do have a bit more natural kind of speed. So just working on that at the Sat Champs, I think will be really key for me. You know, in that first night, just getting some rest. Not that it probably won't be sleep, but just to close your eyes, even for a couple of minutes, can really make a big difference.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I like the music that comes in at the 5 minute mark because it means that you've still got 2 minutes to go for the 3 minute whistle.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Did you do Wild Dog?
Yeah.
So they had the Who Let the Dogs Out music?
Yeah.
Okay.
I hate that. Well, I hated that song, but by the end of the race, I didn't mind it anymore, which is a bit weird.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had a friend of mine, Clay Smith.
Oh, yeah.
Who was definitely the opposite of you.
Right.
By the end, he was just like, "Oh man."
He liked it at the start, did he?
No, actually, not that he liked it at the start. It was more just he really hated it by the end.
Yeah. And what about? Have you thought about the possibility of going to Bigs next year? Is that something you've given much thought to?
I will definitely not be going to Bigs.
Right.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to put it bluntly.
Okay.
That doesn't interest me at all, to be honest.
Oh, really? Really?
It'd be cool to meet Laz, actually, but
yeah.
yeah. Nah, I would if I somehow managed to get a spot, I would definitely decline.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
But why?
I think if it was like some sort of individual championship in Australia, I think I'd be a bit more keen. But to fly over to America and I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it is a big trip. Have you been to America before?
No, never been. So it just feels like too much work to get there. Too much planning.
Yeah. So you did mention that your folks are going to be crewing for you at the Sat Champs.
Mum and Dad, yep. Shout out, good crew. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They've been there for all of my backyards except for Hysterical.
Yeah.
So that's really good. We've got a bit of a system now. The first one was a bit clunky. I think the first one would have been at Herdys. Yeah, so just sort of trying to figure out. They'd never done any kind of crewing before, Oh, well, obviously they'd crewed at Hyson for a bit, but kind of a different sort of thing with the Backyard Ultra sort of setup. So, we've done a few now together and we got a bit of a system going. And, yeah, it's really good having both of them, especially because, Dad can be there for a few hours, Mum can have a sleep, then they can kind of swap. So, yeah, no, it's really good.
Yeah, perfect. And as apart from or after the Sat Champs, I guess, and you only had this line, you only found out a few weeks ago that you've made the team. So did that throw any plans? Like, did that change? Did you have any races planned over the next few months that you're not going to do anymore because of the Sat Champs?
No, the only thing it changed was I was pretty much going to stop running for a while.
Right.
I was just going to have some, or not completely stop. I was just going to have some time just to chill.
Yeah.
Just to go for some bike rides and just to focus on some other things. So that was the original plan. But definitely happy to start training again for this event. And yeah, I just felt like I wanted a bit of time. Like since I started running in 2019, it's pretty much just been training. What am I going to do next? So I had some planned downtime, but that'll just be after now. So
yeah. I did notice on your Strava, like it does look like you have reduced the amount after No Time to Die. It looks like your mileage has gone down.
Yeah, I was mainly just doing that just to train for this 5K. Like I didn't need as much kilometers, and I got a little bit sick there as well during. So yeah, the graph has been a little bit lower, but it'll start to go up a bit now. Trust me. Yeah.
Have you got a run plan for today?
Yes. So just going to go out and I've got an hour and a half on the trails.
Oh yeah, nice.
Which will be good. So there's a few trails, sort of 10, 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
Which is nice. It's nice as well. I like going for a bit of a drive and going somewhere I don't normally go to, you know, because I know every street of my suburb, and it's like, yeah, it gets a bit boring. But yeah, so that's on the plan for today. Should be good.
Yep. And have you thought about any other backyard ultras? For example, like Dead Cow Gully next year is building up to be a pretty huge race. Like going back to Dead Cow Gully, but to run, does that interest you?
It, sort of a little bit, just to be there with the best of the best again.
Yeah.
In that, will that be the Masters that year?
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of. What time of year is that? Is that April?
It's in June this time.
Oh, June. Okay, I'm actually doing a 100-miler next year in July, so that'll be my sort of goal race for the year. But I think definitely, if I was going to do another backyard, it would definitely be something like that.
Yeah.
With the best in Australia, best in the world, in more of an individual kind of format, similar to Bigs, I guess. I guess that's like the Australian Bigs in one sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean,
the Masters.
Yeah, I mean, it's an amazing run. Harvey Lewis is coming back, and Sam Harvey, Phil Gore, and heaps of others as well, like from overseas. So it's going to be unreal.
Man, all the big dogs.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm just a little dog, just yapping at their heels.
So you are so I mean, you are a fast runner. Like, remember at Melbourne last year? I remember I was I was on the side of the road, and you ran past, and I think you ran that one in 2:41. So
2:34, yeah.
2:34. Oh, wow. So I mean, I'm sure you are sure that you can go faster than that as well. So do you have plans to keep working on your marathon time?
Oh, definitely. You know, I mean, I don't know how realistic it is, but I'd love to be in the low 220s one day, you know, 222, something like that. But at the same time, there's all these other races I want to do. You know, my tagline on Instagram is 5K to multi-day. Oh, sorry, not on Instagram, on Strava. So I like just, you know, in the build up to a longer race, a few months out, I might race a 5K or race a marathon. So there's definitely more there. That was my first marathon.
That was your first one?
That was my first one, yeah. So the goal was sub 2:32 on that day. I got through halfway, sort of about where I saw you. That was close to halfway, and I thought, I'm not feeling too good here. But held on and just got under 2:35. So that was pretty good. Would definitely like to do a few more. And Melbourne's a really great course.
Yeah, and I mean, it was also a really good performance because you weren't running with a group. You were running all alone.
Completely solo. That sucked, man. When I saw you, there was just no one around.
Yeah.
And I think that was the problem with, I knew that there was a group going through for sub 2:30.
Right.
And that was the problem. Was I thought if I stick with that group, I'll be running with a group, but I'll probably blow up pretty badly. So I was kind of in this no man's land between 2:30 and 2:40. And so there was just no one around.
Yeah.
The only time I got to run with people was when we caught up to the half marathoners.
Right. Yeah.
but that was running around people.
Yeah. Yeah. So you don't have. So you're definitely going to. Because how old are you? Are you 30 yet, or are you just 30?
I turned 29 on Monday.
Oh wow! A happy birthday!
Thank you.
So you're definitely the youngest in the Australian team, then.
Yeah, I guess I am. Who else would be sort of young? Michael Bellman. Yeah, I probably am the youngest. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, so I mean that's cool. I mean you've got heaps of time left to keep building on your backyard ultra career, I guess you could call it. And maybe one day you will want to go to Bigs.
Yeah, potentially. I see what you're doing there. Yeah. Well, that's the thing as well. Like, I do love the shorter races, the marathons, and so I'd want to sort of work on that as well while I'm younger and while that's kind of my strength at the same time. And I know that I've got plenty of years left to do the longer sort of stuff as well. So
Yeah.
it's just choosing what I want to do now, and that's the great thing about running. You can be running well into your 50s.
Yeah.
So yeah, just really excited for the future, and yeah.
Yeah. So, as you'd know, the Herdys course is a little bit different than the one you ran. Like this one's going to be an out and back, just to make sure that you're not, you're not running too, because the original course, it's a bit long, so there's a very large space between the starting corral and the end of the loop. So this one's an out and back, and I understand it's very, very flat. So have you, in any of your other races, how do you approach those flat courses? Do you have a run for a particular amount of time and then walk for an alternating amount of time as well? How do you approach the flat courses?
Yeah, so for when I did Herdys, it was very much just a run for a bit, walk for a bit, and kind of no set plan. And I have moved towards that sort of 7-3 at the start, 7 run, 3 walk, 3-2, 3-2, all the way to the end. I really like that. I find that it just works really well. You get a bit of running, a bit longer at the start. It makes the first 10 minutes with a 3-minute walk. And so I have switched to a bit more of that kind of format. Yeah, I find that works pretty well. You get in with 45, 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 7 run, 3 walk, and then 3-2, 3-2 for the rest.
Yeah. 3 run, 2 walk. And I figured that I could probably change it around a bit as well. I've thought of some other ways, or I think in no time, actually, I was doing 7-3 and then 5-5-5-5-5 all the way through. And then when I was getting a bit more tired, then I was switching to a 3-2, 3-2 kind of thing, which the 5-5-5 all the way through, it's actually a higher ratio of walking, but the durations are a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Like you're running for 5 minutes as opposed to 3. So when you get more tired, you can kind of switch down. Yeah, but I like the flexibility as well of the times. You can change your, the ratios and that kind of thing. Yeah.
So I'm sure, given that this the Sat Champs is very much a team kind of race, you'll all be running in groups and experimenting with other people's pacing strategies as well, which will be interesting.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to just being in a little pack and having someone call out run and walk. And I don't want to keep going. Oi, run. The thing is, you're not moving fast, so you don't get much wind. You're not like the cycling team where you're just sitting in the back.
Yeah.
No, that'd be really good. And I'm looking forward to the team sort of aspect, where you do want the other, as much as you want to do the best for yourself, everyone's lap total is counted towards the team total, which is, I just think it's a really great aspect of it.
Yeah, it's unreal. Like it will be so great because I'm going to be there too. I'm going to be helping with getting a live stream going. So,
cool.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun being there and just being able to watch the event and being a part of it in some way.
I was about to ask if you were going to come down. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you have like I know they had a live stream at Herdys, was it a few years ago?
Yeah, they did have at Herdys 2 years ago. They had a camera just set up at the starting corral. But I did the live stream at Dead Cow Gully this year, and I had a few cameras set up. So, and I was doing interviews and stuff like that too. So, I've organised a Starlink as well. So I'll have good internet connection at the Sat Champs. So it will be good.
And what will that go out on? Will that be like YouTube or? Yeah,
YouTube, and I might be able to get it on Facebook as well, but YouTube mainly.
Oh, cool. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So I'll have a few different cameras set up in different locations, and I can switch between the two and speak to people speak to people who are crewing, speak to runners who have finished. And
oh, that's great. Yeah. Oh, good on you. That's so cool.
Yeah, I love doing it when I did it at Dead Cow Gully this year. So Yeah, I really enjoy doing that.
So you've got a bit of experience, kind of doing that already, which is good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
yeah. So Dan, you might know that I like asking my guests for their three backyard ultra tips.
Mhm.
What are your three backyard ultra tips?
Yeah. I am prepared for this.
Yeah,
My number one tip for me that I really love is to bring different shoes, different types of shoes to a backyard ultra.
yeah,
I think that's really, really helpful. You know, you've got the chance to change your clothing very easily in these sort of races. So, you know, I see some people, they might rock up with, say, all Hoka shoes or something like that. And that's great if that works for them. But for me, I like to wear some zero drop shoes, some, you know, more like Hoka shoes where you get the heel to toe sort of drop. And I just find that that kind of hits my legs a bit differently. If I wear like a Hoka shoe, it sort of hits me up in my knees a bit more.
mm,
Whereas like a, say, like an ultra sort of hits me down in my ankles a bit more. So I like to change that up, and I find that it just keeps my legs a bit fresher.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that your shoes were pretty ruined at the end of No Time to Die.
Yeah. I probably shouldn't be giving advice about shoes. Oh man. Yeah, I have a problem. I have some sort of curse where I always buy shoes that are too small.
Right. Yeah.
So I guess sort of tagging on the back of that is to buy shoes that are this is all part of tip one, I guess. Is to buy shoes that are definitely a little bit too big
Yeah.
because your feet do swell.
Have you moved up size shoes since you've started doing backyard ultras? Because I have. I've recently moved from 10.5 to 11 just to give myself some extra room.
Yeah, I've done the same thing. I think I've gone from 10 maybe to 10.5, or it's weird as well because different shoes have sort of different sizing. Like I might be 10 in one
Yeah.
and then I'm an 11 in another, you know, sometimes. So yeah, you got to try and get that right. Definitely your feet can swell heaps. I remember Ehor talking about it at Bigs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Luckily
Yeah.
Joel was there.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And no one had any scissors, you know, so you couldn't do what I did.
Right. Oh, so those holes were actually you cut them.
Oh, I cut them out. I'd already cut the toes out, but then the side of my shoe was the side of my foot, sorry, was rubbing, so I cut that out as well halfway through a lap. Well, like at the end of the lap, I.
So how many pairs of shoes will you have with you at the Sat Champs?
Yeah, I've been trying to think about it. Probably four.
Yeah. Yeah.
I reckon. I'll have a like a Pegasus shoe, which will be just for a little bit of a faster lap. So it's got a little bit of pop in it, but it's not like a full, obviously like a full racing shoe.
Yeah.
I'll have like the Invincible, Nike Invincible.
Yeah.
Which is just a nice, comfortable shoe. And then I'll have like a pair of Ultras, a little bit sort of lower profile. And then I might even, are they doing the out and back both ways, or is it just one way? Like, are they going out and back, out and back?
Yeah, I did hear, I haven't had it confirmed, but I did hear someone say that the days and nights will be run different ways. Like,
Oh, yeah.
you'll be going the left way at night, for example, and the right way during the day. That's what I heard, but I'm not 100. I haven't had it confirmed yet, so I'm not sure.
Yeah. So I'll probably bring one pair of trail shoes just to change that up a bit as well. So, yeah, probably 4 pairs.
Yeah. Yeah, very good.
Is that enough?
I reckon. As long as just make sure you take some bigger ones so you don't have to cut them.
Yeah. Oh, man, that was so funny. And the thing is, I was wearing toe socks. So one of my toes was just sticking out the side of the shoe.
Oh,
So
Okay. So what's your second backyard ultra tip?
So I did mention it before, but trying to train a bit more to time. So yeah, I use the example of just, you know, I do landscaping a few days a week, and some days I come back and my body's pretty sore. You know, I've been paving all day, and to have 15K or 20K on the program can be a bit daunting.
Mm.
You know, particularly if you're quite sore and you think, oh man, how am I going to get through this? So I've started training a lot more just the time.
Yeah.
Because an hour 30 is an hour 30, whether you're walking or running. So, and the backyard, you know, we all know that a big part of that is walking. So, you know, if I've had a hectic day at work and I'm feeling a bit banged up, I can go out for an hour and 30 minutes and maybe I'll do, you know, a lot more walking that day. And it's just a bit more flexible and fits in with my schedule. And that's something that's really helped me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And number 3.
Number 3. Well, I had sort of mentioned it as well. You'd already sort of asked me some questions, and it was in the strategies to get through when things are tough. But yeah, just to have that 1 minute where you're grateful of something.
Mm.
I had said it before, but it just sort of changes the narrative. I find that you can get a bit sort of down on yourself and, oh, what am I doing here? And you feel a bit sorry for yourself. But being able to be grateful for something and you know, maybe the loop in the morning, there was a nice sunrise, and there's always something to be grateful of. And it just kind of changes the narrative of how you're feeling and injecting some positivity into it. So that's a bit more of a mental sort of trick, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that really helpful. Yeah.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah. So, yeah, it's really exciting that you made the team. I don't know if you listened to the end of year podcast I did last year, but we had a thing like runners to watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I forgot to mention that. Yeah. So you know, I got to make the prediction right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because you were my runner to watch in 2024.
Yeah, that's right. I can't let you down.
Yeah.
When I'm hurting and you're there at the event, it's like, oh gosh, the pressure's on, and the live stream as well.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely had a good year. I mean that run at Mirrim Wurnit, that was such a good run in tough conditions. Like, I mean,
oh, cheers.
Yeah, that was a tough race. Definitely, I reckon that's definitely a race you can think about, like when things are hard at the Sat Champs.
Yep, it's a race I will be thinking about.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I remember you telling me like you were looking forward to the tough course. Are you looking forward to the running it on the flat course?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's just going to be easier to make the laps. You know, particularly, you know, I want to up my PB, and so I like the tough course for Mirrim Wurnit because it was a silver ticket.
Yeah.
So everyone has to do it, and it just means the race won't go as long.
Yeah.
Whereas for something like the Sat Champs, where you want your team to have a really big total, I'm really looking forward to just a flat, non-technical course. So yeah.
Yeah. Unreal. Yeah, well, look, it's going to be it's really exciting, and I'm really glad you made the team because you're definitely one of the best backyard ultra runners in the country. I mean, you've proven that with your 51, and you made the team, so it's unreal.
Oh, I'm so stoked to be part of the team. Got such an amazing lineup, and just to be there with the best guys, you know, Phil, Aaron, all those guys, Ryan, just to be a part of that and to represent Australia is something I could never have dreamed of. So I want to be able to, you know, do my country proud and push as far as I can. And I know that I'll be in the best place for that. So
yeah, sure.
Yeah, really looking forward to it, and not long to go. So
yeah, not at all. The is the team still called the Red Backyarders, or you're not too sure?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. I'm just the new recruit. Yeah, I just do what I'm told.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I know that was the team name last year. But yeah, I'm not sure if they're sticking with it or not. But
yeah, no worries. Well, yeah, congratulations on making the team. I'm really glad you did, and yeah, I can't wait to watch you in action in October.
Thanks, Pato. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing you and hopefully putting on a good performance. Yeah. So yeah, thanks again for having me on. It's good to be here, and yeah.
Thanks heaps for coming on, and yeah, all the best, and we'll keep in touch, and I'll see you in October.
Awesome, sounds good. Thanks again. It's been awesome. See you guys.